what is some evidence of that feeling? Okay, you say you feel like a fraud. Have other people told you that? Well, no. Okay, well, very often when we get constructive criticism, we exaggerate it. We have a tendency to delete, distort, and generalize.
Hello, this is Raymond Aaron, New York Times top 10 bestselling author, bringing you Respark Your Life podcast, the world's premier podcast to ignite the fire to allow you to live life on your own terms. Every single Thursday, I bring you a multi-millionaire, world-famous celebrity to teach you about the most fascinating ways in order to live a far better life. Every single Thursday, you just need to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. I'll see you every Thursday to Respark Your Life. Yes, it's Raymond Aaron, and you know the culture of Respark Your Life. I sometimes bring you my world-famous friends that you like hearing from, but mostly I bring you stealth wisdom from people you'd never find out about. That's my genius. And who am I bringing you today? Another person who's when I tell you his name, you'll say, who's that? But 20 minutes from now, you'll be in love with him and you'll be much illuminated and enwizened. And here he is, Albert Bramante. Hi. I'm glad you're here to hear my intro.
Okay.
He helps performers, educators, and creators unlock their potential by blending psychology, performance strategies, and artificial intelligence to fuel unstoppable momentum. Wow. With 20 years at the crossroads of entertainment and higher education, he has coached actors to land life-changing roles, mentored students to become high-performing professionals, and developed systems that help people break through fear, imposter syndrome, and self-sabotage. As the CEO of Bramante Artists, he represents a diverse talent roster working across Broadway, film, television, commercials, and print. He doesn't just book roles, he builds careers using psychology, insights, and industry strategy. He helps talent, that's you, develop long-term, purpose-driven success. Wow. So, Albert, are you going to be able to live up to all of that?
I sure hope so. That was a stellar introduction.
Wow. Okay. So let's get started. Let's get started with the how you got into this. So did something happen to you when you were a kid? Did some parent say that you'll never amount to anything? Did some teacher say that you'll never succeed, or and then you struggled against that and succeeded, or what was the genesis?
It was actually a combination of a lot of things. So when I was born, I was born a premature baby. So I had a lot of, I'd say the first few years of my life, a lot of health problems, a lot of health issues, chronic pneumonia. I was in intensive physical and occupational therapy because I had trouble walking. I had trouble communicating. And the doctors kind of told my parents not to have much hope for me. This is back in the late 70s, early 80s. Did not have much hope for me, and that if I was lucky, I would pass the mentality of a 10-year-old.
Ouch.
So thankfully, I had parents who didn't give up on me. They didn't listen to the doctors, and I thank them for that. I also had a couple of teachers that, in kindergarten as well as when I was in 7th grade, kind of almost say the same thing. You should look into like special ed. You should look into, my 7th grade teacher was kind of like the driving force. I mean, I was removed from her class immediately afterwards, but she had told my parents, that I should be in a self-contained classroom. Because at this time we were in junior high, which was a transfer into classes. So she told my parents that I should belong in a special individual classroom because I was lower of the lowest.
Jeez.
So that was kind of like the driving force for not only just for her, but even for me, where it's like, I've got to be the high achiever. And it really wasn't until high school where I woke up, so to speak, because I was always like a B, C student. I wasn't a fail. I didn't fail any classes, but I never was really the high achiever up until my junior year in high school, to where I just woke up and I went from pretty much overnight from like B's and C's to straight A's.
Wow.
And it was really an amazing achievement. And then my senior year in high school, I was in honors classes, pretty much the honors track and straight A's. And I was in college prep classes, and I remember which really felt good. I sent a copy of my transcripts of my senior year and with the highlighted the honors class and highlighted the straight A's, and sent it to my seventh grade teacher and to my doctors at the time, and thanked them for their support.
Sarcastically.
Exactly. But I also, and in the sense it was sarcastic and not sarcastic, because their motivation kind of helped me to
Yes.
really prove them wrong.
Wow, that's a tough story. Really?
And yeah. So I think ever since then, I was like, I'm just going to prove to myself. I mean, I don't want to say I was like totally 100% motivated in proving them wrong. I was also proving to myself that I can do this. So that's why I went to college, graduated with honors, and then went for a master's, and then, and then to my doctorate. So just to kind of show, like, look, I'm the first person in my family, in my immediate family, to go to college. Not only did I go to college, but I have a doctorate.
Wow.
So it's an amazing achievement. But yes, I was motivated by, personal experiences.
Okay. So that's an amazing story in itself. But let's see what you did with it. I want to talk about the imposter syndrome. And I'm sure my clients know what it means. It means that you look good on the outside, but inside you feel like you're worthless. And a friend of mine makes her living coaching people on getting rid of negative beliefs. And she coaches lots of people in C-suites, like CEO, CFO, in Fortune 500, Fortune 100, Fortune 10 companies. And no matter how much these C-suite executives earn, like $5 million a month, no matter how much they earn on salary, they always confide in her. If only the board of directors knew that the stock went up because of what the previous CEO did, or the product would have sold on its own. It wasn't my idea. Like, they always have some excuse for why they're so successful, but they don't take credit for it because they don't believe it. So how prevalent in your experience is the imposter syndrome amongst successful people? And what do you do? How do you help them? How do you clean up this inner garbage?
Well, and it's true, and it's very often very multi-layered. So the one thing I will say, I think, is a misconception of imposter syndrome. High achievers often have imposter syndrome. Peak performers often have imposter syndrome, and that sometimes can be a driving force. So the first thing I would say is it's a normal process. I think, yeah, it's not. I don't really like the fact that it's demonized sometimes as it's a problem. It can hold you back, but it's also not. I don't want, like, my whole thing is I don't want it to be stigmatized. It's a actual process we go through. So I kind of reframe this like, look, you're growing, you're changing, you're growing, and this is a normal part of things to feel this way. And then to kind of move past it where it's not going to hold you back, let's look at your previous achievements. Even for myself, because I've, as often I joke about those hair replacement commercials where they say I'm not only the president, I'm a client. So I have my own, imposter syndrome a lot of times too, where I was basically hearing these messages at times of, maybe this isn't for you, and they were self-imposed. So what I do for what helped me is looking at my previous achievements. So one thing I would do is that, work with someone and say, okay, let's talk about your past. What have you done? And well, I graduated high school. That's a great thing. I graduated from college, or I went to trade school. That's great. And so you work on the previous achievements, and then look how far you've come now. If you were necessarily that way, a fraud, or not that deserving of it, look at what you've come. Look how far you've come. And that's the first thing that I would really say is like, take a look at that and take actions, because small actions can actually help you get to your goal. So, and then I would also kind of ask, what is some evidence of that feeling? Okay, you say you feel like a fraud. Have other people told you that? Well, no. Okay, well, and most of the time it's like, no. Well, and then even if someone said, well, I got criticized in the past, or it's like, okay, well, what was it about? Because very often when we get even critical feedback, or what they call constructive criticism, it's very often we exaggerate it. We have a tendency of our mind to delete, distort, and generalize.
Wow.
So by deleting, we take out the good things that we've done, which is what really imposter syndrome is all about. We're deleting the previous achievements that we had. We distort, so we may distort things by distorting. Someone says a critical remark. We will just, well, that doesn't mean they don't like me. That doesn't mean that means my work is inadequate. Well, did they say that? Most of the time, it's like, well, no. I'm like, well, why are you internalizing it like that? So that's part of it. That's part of that too. And then generalization, we generalize. Well, I can't do anything right. And then usually I'll sit there and analyze that. You mean anything? Or it's like, I'll never, no interviewer is going to like me. So you've interviewed with everybody on the planet and they don't, and a lot of times I'll laugh and say, no, that's silly. So it's getting rid of that deletion, distortion, and generalization.
Wow. Well, maybe you can help me. I have been successful on stage every minute for 42 years. I'm one of the highest income earners on stage now by Zoom. And I teach great principles, great workshops. I have a mountain of testimonials. I earn well, but most important, my clients love me. I have 100,000 clients who love me. But Albert, when I get a letter, like a handwritten letter in the mail through my office, I say, oh no, it's a lawsuit. Oh no, they hate me. Oh no, they're going to demand their money back. What have I done wrong? And
Yeah.
I have evolved enough to laugh at it, to say, oh, for gosh sakes, Raymond, you've said that a million times before, and it's always a glowing testimonial. And that calms me down a lot. But I still say, well, let's just check inside the envelope to see. And so it's not all consuming. It's not gigantic. It's tiny, but damn it, Albert, it's still a little bit there. When I get a handwritten envelope, I don't say, oh, yippee, another testimonial.
Yeah. Well, I would just say, like, and rather than saying, like, okay, just stay with go with the mindset. Well, let's see what this is. Let's see what's in the envelope first, and then we'll worry about it. Could be a testimonial, it could be an advertisement, it could be a spam mail, message. You don't know that.
Right.
And so I would just go back, look, we'll deal with it as it is. I got 5 letters in the mail. Let's see what these 5 are. And then worry later.
Right. Oh, that's good. Worry later.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good. That's very good. Now, I want you to tell me your most interesting coaching experience of a client.
I would say just watching people have breakthroughs is really important. So I was working, because I represent actors as an agent. So even though this person wasn't really a paying coaching client of mine, I was also unofficially coaching, because I do that a lot with my acting clients in an unofficial capacity. So there was this one client who I have, wonderful lady, very nice, very, very, and in her life, when you speak to her, she has a gravitas towards her that's strong and powerful.
Yes.
She has a heart of gold, but she's strong and powerful. In her acting and performing work, she was very meek and soft-spoken.
Uh-huh.
So, and almost like playing very small, like hiding in a corner, even when she's performing. And throughout time, I was like, look at your personal power when you speak, when you're not on camera. and you're not performing, you're powerful, because it was actually a she worked for a major company. She was like in a high rank in the purchasing department, in addition to being an actress. But she was a very powerful, had a very powerful persona to her when she was not. So let's take that to the roles you're playing. Let's transform that persona to the role you're playing. And at this time, she didn't really tell me, but when this was happening in the beginning of it, she was contemplating giving up. She had a great corporate job, made great money, but was just not making with acting. Didn't book anything for 9 or 10 years straight. And by all metrics, you might even consider that might be understandable to walk away. They have a great job, they're successful in their job, but it's not, the acting wasn't working out. So let's just try this. I said, what the worst that can happen is 2 years from now, we're going to be in the same position. You got a great job. I said, so let's just try something different. And through coaxing, working in conjunction with her acting coach, let's try out this different persona. So a few months after doing this, she went on, her first major TV audition for the Netflix series Orange is the New Black. And she wound up getting the role.
Wow.
A month later, she got an audition for a CBS show, FBI, a small role, landed that role.
Wow.
A year later, Law and Order SVU landed that role. So it was an amazing process. And when I even spoke to her today, she still gets emotional, like reflecting on it, like how powerful just a little shift can be. And one of the premises of my book is that our own worst enemy is staring ourselves in the mirror a lot of times. It's not other people, it's ourselves.
Aha. Wow. I loved your question. Do other people actually notice that you have the imposter syndrome inside? Like, have other people actually said that you're worthless or that you don't deserve it? And when they say no, it's hard to keep the imposter syndrome when no one notices it.
Yeah.
That is fascinating.
Yeah. Or it's like, I can't do anything right. You mean anything? Did you get dressed today? Did you? Yeah. Okay. Well, or, even in the, relating to, like, they go on 5 interviews. Nobody likes me. I'm like, nobody?
Nobody likes you. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
And because we have a general tendency to generalize, this, goes back to deletions, distortions, generalizations. We delete, important information, we distort, and we generalize. 1 or 2 experiences to make it the whole thing.
Yes. Yes. I loved your example of changing a small thing with your client who wanted to be an actor. And suddenly everything changed. That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. And because you told that story, I've noticed something about myself that I never noticed before. So I'm thanking you for this. Just for fun, I auditioned to be in a play. It's a local amateur theater company that's actually been around for like 40 years. And it was Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen.
Oh, great play. Yes. Okay.
And I got the smallest part. It was Thomas the butler. So I come in and out, in and out, and in and out, but I'm always in the background because I'm the butler. I have to be silent. I say very few things. I sometimes bring in something or take something out or deliver cookies or something. But Albert, I loved it. And I became Thomas the butler. I just became it. And backstage, when us actors were talking to each other, we would use our human name, except for me. They would call me Thomas because I so wiggled inside the part that I stood taller. I wore a tuxedo on stage. Oh man, I just loved it. And what I noticed when you told the story about the woman actress is that I never have the tiniest imposter syndrome for acting, even though I'm not a professional actor. I've never earned a penny at it, but I never worry that when the show is over, there's going to be several people in the audience that said, boy, what a lousy butler that was. Never even occurred to me.
And that's when you would adopt that mindset, even as any professional actors that are listening to this, where you take the stakes and put it aside and just look at this as performing. And the same thing goes with auditioning. One of the advices I tell a lot of that actors is to just pretend that you're performing for 2 minutes. That's all it is. Don't worry about the outcome. Don't be attached to the outcome. You're going in for 2 minutes. It's your time to showcase your ability, and you're there to work and to play. Really think about it. So if you use that mentality rather than worrying about what is going to be the outcome, worrying about, am I going to get the part? No, you're going in for 2 minutes and you're acting. You decided to become a professional actor because you like performing. Well, here's your chance to perform for 2 minutes and do what you love, and get in, get out, let it go. And if it turns out to something great, if not, you are able to perform for 2 minutes.
Right, which you love doing anyways.
Exactly. So it's a win-win.
Now, my subscribers are on the edge of their seat right now, or maybe they're walking their dog, whatever. But I think they are intrigued by you. And I think that they want to buy your book. And I think they may want you to coach them. And so I'm going to give them a link right now that they can go to, and they can scour around what they find there, and they can find the link to buy your book. Tell everybody the title of your book.
Sure. It's called Rise Above the Script, Confronting Self-Doubt and Mastering Self-Sabotage for Performing Artists. Now, I want to make another thing clear is that it's geared towards everybody. So we're all performing artists to some degree, whether we're a speaker, whether we're a coach, whether we're in sales, we're always kind of performing.
Yes.
On that aspect. So there's a lot of information that can be applicable to everybody.
Okay, I missed the title. You said it too fast. Just the title, not the subtitle.
Rise Above the Script.
Rise Above the Script. Ooh, I love that. Rise Above the Script. What a delicious title. Rise Above the Script. Oh, man, that is so illuminating and empowering. So if you're interested in Rise Above the Script, of course, you can just go to Amazon, but there is a website that you can go to, a LinkedIn site. That's Albert's LinkedIn site, and you can get lots more information there. And you can ask to be his coaching client if you wish, or you can ask him to be your talent agent.
Yeah, and the message. Okay.
LinkedIn.com/IN/Albert Bramante, ALBERT, of course, Bramante, BRAMANTE. So it's LinkedIn.com/IN/Albert Bramante. His book is Rise Above the Script, a delicious title. Or you can just go to Amazon if you wish, in order to learn more about him, because you've spent 20 minutes with him and with me, and I think you like him because I really like him. Albert, if we were neighbors, we'd be dear friends. We'd be out in the backyard barbecuing right now.
Sure, absolutely.
Right on. Well, Albert, I'm really glad that your mummy was so powerful that she ignored messages from distinguished people like medical doctors who had evidence. They had evidence that you were,
absolutely. And we didn't know a lot about neuroplasticity as we do now. So I might have been showing a lot of those signs that we're going to have problems. So I'm not saying that they were completely wrong. They might have made judgments too fast. I might have been showing those signs, but I worked hard to overcome them.
Yes. And my guess is that those doctors are right 99 times out of 100. And you are the exception because of your powerful mom and because of your own powerful mind and will to. So bravo, congratulations. I honor you for it. And I am so glad that you've created a career that helps a lot of people. And I'm glad you're on my show.
And I'm glad and I appreciate you inviting me and inviting me to be on.
I don't want you to leave yet. I got to ask you another question.
Absolutely.
This question you have no ability to answer, but I use it on some of my more interesting interviewees, and you are definitely in the category of mucho interesting. And the question is, would you rather be a birthday cake or a fortune cookie?
Fortune cookie.
Tell me why.
There's a lot of possibilities in there when you go to the center.
So a fortune cookie is possibilities about the future, but a birthday cake is about the past.
Yeah, or present moment, and only the present moment. Because once it's consumed, it's gone. But a fortune cookie has that little piece of paper in there that can last forever.
I love your answer, and I love your reason why. Thank you for delivering such a powerful message to my clients. I honor you. I respect you. I salute you.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Wow, I sure hope you enjoyed that fascinating episode. Please make sure you've subscribed, and please tell your friends if you like it that they will probably like it as well. For your information, this experience, this service, this podcast has been sponsored by the Orbit Coaching Program. All of my friends, all my world-famous speaker friends, all have coaching programs. Mine has been independently rated as the #1 high-level coaching program. You cannot purchase it. You have to audition for it by me personally. If you're interested, please email me at respark@aaron.com. Respark@AARON. Say that you're interested in being considered for the Orbit Coaching Program and include your cell phone number so that I personally will call you back.